Right, good morning, folks. Oh, that was a bit louder than I anticipated. My apologies. Good morning. Welcome to day 2 of PYCON. It's a slightly more subdued this morning, I think, than yesterday morning. Perhaps a few of us have visited some of the haunts of Cardiff. So, welcome to day 2. I will do the kind of welcome this morning and the parish notices. If you were here yesterday, it will be broadly very similar, I forewarn you now. Welcome to day 2. I'm really pleased with how well yesterday went. It's so nice to be back after the 3 years of not being able to, or 2 years, but after 3 years in Cardiff. So, welcome, as I say. Are we playing? Yes, we're playing. Well, welcome to PYCON. Welcome to Cardiff if you're a first-time visitor. There's been a Python or Django conference in Cardiff since 2014, and we've been at this venue from every year from 2015 to 2019, and then obviously, for reasons that are very well documented, we haven't been here for a couple of years. But if it's your first time at PYCON, just pop your hand up. I know Mark did this for me yesterday. Excellent. How many of you put your hands up yesterday when I asked that question? Okay, well, you can put your hands down because it's not your first time because you were here yesterday. But if you were here yesterday, so you are now one of the family, then make anyone else who is new today feel welcome. If you are going for a social event after the conference, then include other folk in. We don't have conference Slack. There was a question that was asked yesterday. We don't have a conference Slack this year because we just didn't have the capacity to get that all set up and sorted. But if you use hashtag PyConUK on Twitter, you'll have seen a lot of conversations about hostelries and the like to visit that's going around on there. So I'm just going to talk a little bit this morning about the sorts of things that are required to make a PYCON happen, PYCON possible. First of all, there's the team of volunteer organisers. My name's Anne, I'm Ann Barr, and then we also have Owen Campbell, he was somewhere around, he'll wave at you at some point. Anyone wearing a red lanyard, if you've got any questions or things you want to ask about, then pick that up. Christian, who does all the kind of money stuff for us, who isn't actually able to be at the conference this year. Vincent, who I will introduce you to shortly anyway. Gail, Danny, who just, perfect timing, Danny, just wandering past as I introduce you. Daniele, Becky, and Sandy again, who's not here. Sandy's done a sterling job of everything on the website pretty much for us, so much appreciative of all the efforts. And bear in mind, these folk have been, alongside their own families and their day jobs, etc., have been meeting on a sort of fortnightly basis certainly since the start of this year. So it's no small commitment on their part, and I would like to thank everybody for their contributions in making this happen. Thank you. Following on from that, there are a lot of folk who have offered their services to volunteer at the conference to help us out with things like the welcome desk and make sure things are set up and sort of generally helping with all sorts of things that make this run smoothly. So big shout out to all the folk that have already volunteered and are volunteering for the rest of the conference. If anybody wants to get involved and do some volunteering during the conference, just grab Danny, who I could see, but now I can't see. But just grab Danny and she'll find a job for you to do, basically. So I would like to say a thanks to Tim Williams and his helpers, who I'm told that day 1 videos are mostly on YouTube now. Yep, so sterling effort as always for Tim and the video team. So and obviously then the rest of the conference will go up in due course. I would like to just say very big thanks to Cheryl and Julia, who are I didn't write it down today, speech-to-text reporters. Yeah, well done, fantastic. I mean, I'm always amazed at how they capture so well, you know, what all of us stand up and say. Again, if you are a speaker today and you haven't already, please send us a copy of your slides or any words that are relevant so that we can help Cheryl and Julie with anything, with anything that might be a technical term or they're not sure how to pronounce. Well, you know what I mean. Yes, okay. Yes, so thank you to you too. I'd like to just say thank you to our sponsors. As I said yesterday, you know, you can sometimes be a little bit cynical about, you know, the commercial impact, et cetera, but the reality of the situation is that every one of us here in the room would have had to pay twice the price for our ticket if we didn't have sponsors supporting at this event. So we are very appreciative of what they do for us. And, you know, we wouldn't have had the STTRs, we wouldn't have had the creche that's available, we wouldn't have had the Welsh cakes, there are lots of things. We wouldn't have had the financial assistance programme. There are lots of things that are made possible by virtue of having our sponsors. So do take an opportunity over the time that you're at the conference to speak to them, find out, you know, what they're interested in and what they're doing and what have you. So our headline sponsor this year is JP Morgan Chase. And then we have a series of other sponsors. So we've got Bloomberg, Cookpad. I do have my pasta portion sizer already. I noticed that they had those. I thought that was rather nice. Microsoft, Anvil, who are long-term supporters for us, and we really do appreciate that. Benchsci, Invenia, Sorcery, TaiPi, PyXLL. I was just making sure I'd got the X's and the L's in the right place on that one, and Money Supermarket. So as I say, do take the opportunity to go and speak to our sponsors whilst you're here. The people without whom this really wouldn't go ahead are City Hall and all their amazing staff who make sure that we've got tea, coffee, Welsh cakes, lunch, and basically just run around and sort everything else out for us. Like I say, it wouldn't go ahead without them, and this year in particular there have been a number of obstacles that they've just admirably dealt with that hasn't really impacted us. Half of their team yesterday were called across to the castle because the King was visiting, and yet I don't think we really noticed any impact of that on us and us at the conference. So it might be a nice opportunity. I know there's none of them in the room, but just as a round of applause to all the brilliant staff from City Hall. The AV services team, thank you to them, and also for dealing with the fact that people don't stand behind the microphones when they're supposed to and wander off on the stage, and so nobody can hear them. So that was a personal criticism, not anybody else, I hasten to add. So thank you for your support. And then thank you to everybody who has presented or is going to present a talk, a workshop, and the time and effort. Hannah did an amazing job of our opening keynote yesterday. After 3 years back, the first person up on the stage, essentially, an absolutely fascinating talk. So if you weren't here yesterday and you didn't catch that, I highly recommend you find that one on our YouTube. But yes, thank you to everybody who is presenting a talk and is contributing to the conference. And then finally, it wouldn't happen without you. So thank you for all buying your tickets, coming along, supporting, being so enthusiastic and supportive and welcoming of other people coming to the conference and just coming to enjoy the experience. I will briefly mention again the Code of Conduct. You've all agreed to the Code of Conduct when you bought your ticket, and it's listed on our website, and it's something that's important to us. Please do read it. It's not a list of things you're not allowed to do or say. It's a statement of our values, of how we want attendees to treat one another, and it's basically about treating people with respect, courtesy, and kindness. We have all sorts of people at the conference, so just consider your own language and behaviour, and whether that's appropriate for a general audience who may have a whole different, a large variety of sort of expectations and and a large variation in what they feel comfortable seeing, hearing, and doing. That also applies to your talks. If your talk may require you to discuss a sensitive topic or one that's likely to have a strong effect on some people, please do that with tact and consideration. If there is something that makes you feel comfortable and you want to report it, please do, and we will act on it. If you want to speak to somebody, then there are a number of ways that you can get in touch with this. You can speak to any member of the organising team. Gail is our key contact. I know Gail isn't here just at the moment, but any of us you can speak to. There is also a telephone number that you can get in touch with us, and there's the email address. So if you do have any concerns, please do get in contact with us. I still can't do the sort of justice to toilet talk that Daniele has in previous years done, but I will just do the toilet talk again for the conference. It's not glamorous, but you know. So this is a 19th century building, and the toilets are clearly labelled as ladies and gentlemen, and we do know that those categories don't necessarily reflect the reality of our attendees. Someone might feel, for example, that a certain person doesn't look enough like a woman to be using the ladies' toilet, but our policy is quite simple. We trust our attendees to choose and use the facilities appropriate to them, and we expect them to be left in peace whilst doing so. So please respect the people and please respect the space. If you have any concerns, you're welcome to address them to the committee, but no one is to be harassed whilst using the facilities. The one thing I will just add is that the accessible toilets are downstairs, so if anybody needs to make use of the accessible facilities, they're downstairs rather than on this floor. Predominantly, we are contained within the top floor this year because the books of condolence for Cardiff are in the lower city hall, in the lower hall, sorry, this year. So, next point. What is a question? As I say, it's something that we speak about each year, and I spoke about yesterday. Just remember, we will have chairs for all of our speakers, and someone did mention to me yesterday, I did use the word strident, so I'll use that again. Our chairs will be strident about policing whether or not it is a question. So the purpose of the question is to give the speaker a chance to share something that the questioner did not know. It's not to tell the speaker something they didn't know. And a good question will show how brilliant the speaker is, not how clever the questioner is. And as I say, our chairs are briefed and will be policing questions. So you have fair warning if you wish to ask a question of the speaker. Some speakers may also choose not to take questions, and that's perfectly within their gift. Conference badges, please do wear your badges. Don't forget your badge. I did steal from Park Run, but, you know, fair enough. Yeah, that's how we know that it's the folk that are meant to be here who are in here. Photography, we do have Mark Hawkins, nice wave, thank you, Mark, who is around taking photographs throughout the conference. If you do not wish to be photographed, that's absolutely fine. Please make sure you just pick up a yellow lanyard and we'll make sure that you're not in any of the photos. The day one photos are already up. I've tweeted a link out earlier on this morning, and we will try and get a link on the website as well. So take a look and see if you can spot any photos of yourself. So yes, yellow lanyards mean you don't want to be photographed. Red are organising team, and any other colour is that you're happy to appear in photographs and whatever else. I might have forgotten this bit in my welcome talk yesterday, but I've remembered it today, so you know. We do have the quiet room. If you want a space to go and be quiet, it is the council chamber, which is the opposite end of this floor from here. It is actually a very lovely place to go and sit. It's a very grand building, but no kind of like telephone conversations or anything else in there. It is a quiet room. It's a space that people can go and you know, have a bit of time and space themselves. We do have the creche available I know we haven't had that many attendees in the creche this year, but just really to mention that, you know, for future conferences, if that's something that would be helpful for you, we will have that in future as well. But then you may also see some small people dotted around today who will be using the creche. If you are using the creche and your little ones are in there, they're very welcome to come and join us for lunch and whatever else, but the facilities are there for you to use. Conference Wi-Fi, it's Cardiff free Wi-Fi. You don't need to have an account or anything to get on it. You just have to kind of agree to their terms, I think. It did seem to work quite successfully yesterday. It doesn't seem to be overloaded. So if you want to connect to the Wi-Fi, that's how to do it. Please do tweet. Please do tweet us. Please do tell people about your experiences, the things you're enjoying, the talks that you've enjoyed, the key references that you're going to take away from something. So we are at PYCON UK, and use the hashtag PYCON UK or PYCON UK 2022. I think that's also, as I think I mentioned earlier on, being used to organise some of your kind of social activities after the conference events, etc. Lunch today will be at 1 p.m. As I say, this year we're on the first floor for all of the conference, so lunch will be served at the end of the Marble Hall or in the Ferrier Hall, which is, for those of you who weren't here yesterday, if you go down to the end of the Marble Hall, turn right, past the stairs, and the next room on the right, there's food in there. So don't panic if there isn't much food looking like it's on the table right at the end here. We do have more food. And we have rooms I, J, K, and L with tables that you can go and meet up with folk and eat your lunch and what have you. The dietary listings for the food are all on the website, so and they will also be on the tables where the food is served, but if you want to double check, then just take a look on our website. Exciting schedule again today of talks and workshops. At some points, I think in the day, we've got talks in here, and then we've got 3 workshops going on in other locations. The barcode on the QR code on your badge only gets you to the schedule. We're not taking your contact details, but you can use that as quick access to the schedule. And also, as I say, there's the link there for you to get it. At this point, I'm going to hand over to Mark, who is going to do buckets chat for me.
As always, the toilet talk and then the bucket talk. So let me introduce the lightning talks for anybody who wasn't here yesterday. It's the last session of the day, and it's a 1-hour session of up to 5-minute talks. People will come up, they'll talk about anything that they're interested in. They don't necessarily need to be a Python-related talk, but anything that people think might be interesting to the audience that's in the room. If you have an idea for a talk that you're not sure whether it's a good match or not, or you just want somebody to kind of talk it through with you, feel free to grab me at any point during the conference and kind of pitch your idea to me. It will probably increase the chance of your talk being selected. Yes, you give a talk. It can be a 1-minute talk, a 5-minute talk, however much you like. It can't be longer than 5 minutes talk. At 5 minutes point, at the 5-minute point, I will insist that the audience gives a huge round of applause, which will cut you off speaking, and it sounds something like this. You know, there's just nothing as satisfying as doing that. And it's completely addictive. It's slightly overwhelming, especially when the room is more full than this, but it's completely addictive. And so if you haven't been to PyCon UK Lightning Talks before, you may be wondering how you get a chance to actually speak during the Lightning Talks. And this is where I wave buckets around. On the table at the top of the stairs where you came in, there is a table. It's easily identified. It will have 2 buckets on it. There is one bucket for new speakers and one bucket for everyone else. So one of the aims for the lightning talks is to give people a safe space for giving a short talk, so it's not a huge amount of effort, and it's slightly less scary than submitting for the CFP for a 25-minute talk or something like that. So we do prioritize new speakers. So if you have an idea, whether you're a new speaker or you're an experienced speaker, take an index card, write the title of your talk, your name, and a description, which this person has not done. So please feel free to come back and write a description. And try and give us enough detail so that we actually know what you're going to talk about. If you want to give a talk that maybe there's a sort of bait and switch in the middle that is funny or surprising or interesting that is valid, again, please feel free to come and talk to me about it. I'm happy for those kind of talks where it sounds like one thing and turns out to be another, but we do like to vet the talks to make sure that they're actually kind of appropriate, and we like to judge them on their actual merits rather than something that's written on a card that may be different to the talk that you're actually giving. So yeah, again, if in doubt at any point, come find me in the conference. I'm walking around with a green badge with the MongoDB logo on it, so it's not the most identifiable way. Or you can tweet me at Judy2K for reasons that aren't as interesting as you might imagine. So yes, once you put your card in the bucket, please do it early, not early, but in the morning, around lunchtime, sometime around 1:30. Owen and I will take the buckets away. We will look through all the cards. We'll try and work out an agenda, and then we'll put the cards up. We'll number them and put them up on the flip chart next to the desk that the buckets were on. So if you have put a card in, at some point in the afternoon, could you make sure that you walk past the flip chart and just see if your talk's been selected? And if it has, just put a tick next to it to show that you've seen that your talk's been selected and you're actually going to be ready to speak in the evening. Well, it's not really evening, 5 p.m., late afternoon. So yes, and then all you have to do, everybody, turn up at 5 p.m, be prepared to clap so hard that your hands hurt by the end of it. But I promise you that by the end of it, you will also have an aching face from smiling so much, because it's the best bit of the conference. So I will see you there. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so thank you. So as I say, if you've got an idea for a talk, and then we've had all sorts of subjects at different years, please write it on the card, put it in the bucket by about lunchtime-ish, and we will put them up later in the day. If your talk is selected today and we run out of time, your talk will roll over to be in tomorrow's lightning talks, but we also won't save the talks for tomorrow, if you see what I mean. So you have to put them back in. Mark will allow you to reclaim your card if yours wasn't one of the ones that got chosen today and you do want to pop that back in just to save you the job of having to rewrite it. A couple of other just little bits and pieces before I stop talking. Lost property, the welcome desk downstairs. If you do lose anything or you do find anything, just pop it down there, and we'll make sure that people are reunited with their lost property. Someone asked me earlier about somewhere for bags, particularly tomorrow. There is a cloakroom as you come into City Hall. If you turn to the left and then just on the right-hand side there's a huge cloakroom. So you can leave bags and luggage in there tomorrow or today, if you need to use that. I would suggest that you probably want to keep anything valuable with you, but for the rest of your luggage, that'll be a safe space to use. The doors here do close quite loudly, so when you come in and out whilst people are talking, please try and close it quietly. And I have not spoken quite so fast, obviously, this morning, because I didn't have to put the speaker on the spot again this morning. But that is the end of things that I was going to say. And so I have the very great pleasure of introducing our keynote speaker for today. So our speaker today is Vince Knight. Vince is a senior lecturer at Cardiff University in the School of Mathematics. His research interests are in emergent behaviour, probabilistic modelling, I should have checked saying that one out loud before I came and stood up here, applications in healthcare and pedagogy. He's a trustee of the UK PA, UK Python Association, an editor for the Journal of Open Source Software, and is a fellow of the Software Sustainability Institute, another one to trip over. There will probably be time for questions at the end of the talk, and Vince is very happy to take questions at the end of the talk. But you have been warned it does need to be a question. So could we make a very warm welcome to Vince to do our keynote?